Well, guys, we got a problem here. Escalade lifted a head. First head gasket, something. Head gasket, gone. Not happy. I don't know if you saw that in the end of one of my last videos where we were roll racing at Circuit of the Americas. If you're a real G and you watched the whole video, you would see that we messed that up. But there weren't a whole lot of comments about it, so I'm kind of thinking that not everybody watches to the end, which if you don't, you're missing stuff, because that's a big component to this. Today, I'm starting to tear down on this. My goal is I need to get the bad head off tonight, because we don't have much time before we have to get it back together and be able to hit the road to Florida next week. Yeah, we gotta make a couple stops along the way, so there's really only a couple days to do this. Adrian had to go back to Memphis to get some stuff, so he's not here right now. He will be maybe tomorrow night. I think he's gonna come back tomorrow night. But for me, right now, I'm solo. I gotta tear this thing apart. I have never taken the heads off this motor. I have never touched this motor. A guy named Mark Vinson built it back in Pittsburgh. He builds all Jeff Lutz's motors. He put this thing together from between like April to June of 2018. Haven't touched it since then. Since the first time this thing got laid in there, I have not touched the head bolts, not touched the intake manifold, valley cover. Heck, even that header, driver's side header, hasn't come off since 2018. So this is gonna be a little bit of a learning experience for me, because I haven't really messed with any of this stuff. I haven't even touched the rockers. Like, I don't know where the bolts are to get them off. I mean, I'll figure it out, but I'm just saying I've personally never done it before. So digging into my own motor this is gonna be a new sight for me, which is kind of cool. So first I gotta move this thing over a little bit so I'm not right next to the dyno while I'm tearing it apart. But then we're gonna have to pick it up, get the wheels off, downpipes out. The headers are gonna have to come off too, but just because I've spent a lot of time in the inner fender, I'm gonna attack the intake manifold first, just because I want something new to do, basically. I just wanna start with something fresh. I've had the downpipes in and out 8 bazillion freaking times. I'm really excited to take the intake manifold off just because I've never done it before. How about that? All right, I'm talking too much. I'm procrastinating because deep down inside, I really don't wanna do this, but I'm pretending like I am because I need to do it, so I'm gonna get it done right now. I'm kind of an idiot because I jacked this thing up to get the wheels off and downpipes and all that stuff. And you know, like I said before, oh, I'm gonna do the intake manifold first. Well, now I'm standing on this flimsy pallet and I can't reach that, the stuff I'm trying to do. But am I gonna lower it? No, because I'm gonna need to pick it back up. So I'm just gonna suffer and do all this the hard way. That's just me. But got the charge pipe pulled out, unplug all this stuff. I had to undo these AN lines here, get dad off, and then do the 2 on the back. I have those labeled so I'll know where they go. Bolts here, throttle cable, and then once I pick that up, there's gonna be a hose that connects the manifold reference port right here to the underside, and that should be that. And before you say, oh, he's doing time lapse, or oh, we're ahead cam, this is time sensitive. I gotta get it done, so I'm doing my best to make a video while I'm doing it, but it's not gonna be a high production because this needs to get done. I can't afford to take the time to do this. I even almost forgot to film this now. Just bear with me, I'm doing the best I can. I promise you, seeing a time lapse of me undoing an AN fitting is not nearly going to be as cool as what I'm gonna do with this thing once it's done and in Florida. So just trust me, all right? I've never had to unplug these either, but I labeled them all with a marker, paint pen, because the whole harness is kind of hidden under here. So you'll get to see more of this. If I can get it apart, you'll get to see more of how I put this thing together as I'm taking it apart. Which should be pretty cool, because I'll be completely honest, there's gonna be things that I did that I forgot. It's been so long since I put this together, but it's almost like going into a time capsule here to sort of rediscover, oh, this is why I put that under there, or oh, this is I remember doing this now. Okay, like this thing was a big part of my life when I was building it. And I've kind of forgotten the little details. But a lot of little details are in and around this intake manifold when it came to tucking everything in here and making it nice. So these are all disconnected now. This is tight. This was super hard to get together because this is such a tight thing here. But after a while it kind of molds to it. So I'm gonna have to pick this up. Like this is loose. You can see it'll click. Yeah, it's just really tight. So whenever I pick this up, it'll come out. And when I put it back down, I'm gonna have to kind of set that in there so it'll be tight, because it's a heck of a lot easier to do it here than it is to get this to connect with that angle. So like this little bracket here, I made that too. We'll show you that later when I get to there. But now I gotta get an Allen to get these bolts out of here. And they are dang tight because they have not been touched in 2 years. All right, let's get this thing off of here. I think I got everything disconnected, except this. Never mind. Yep. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh. This feels so foreign. A lot of these have hose clamps on the manifold side that are impossible to reach with the manifold on, so I have to clamp these on the manifold side and then install it and do the actual fastening on the other end of the hose. This one here. Okay, I think that's everything. Sit. Good boy. All right, that's a lot of stuff, Dale. You see here, why does my engine bay look so clean? Well, it's because there's all this other stuff that's all under here and, you know, makes it really hard to work on, but it looks good when it's done though. Crankcase vent line, the whole steam crossover, all the injector harness, all that runs under here. Second branch of the harness, fuel return. It's a good time to check these if there's any chafing either. All the O2 sensors connect back here, the coil pack extensions. Think, oh wow, there's so much room in here. Everybody says that, I'm just like, oh. It's like that meme of Homer Simpson. Whenever in the front he looks good, but behind him is just all the crap, like just so you can't see it. That's what this is right here. I'll show you what's going on with the intake manifold. So you got IAT sensor back here. This is where the brake booster goes onto. And you can see the stock clamp is still on here. I got a pretty regular hose clamp there. Because the first time I ever had this out and turned with the boost even past like 12 pounds. It was at SCT Bristol, the very first one I went to. And I still had this factory clamp on here. Well, I turned the boost up and the first thing that happened was poof, it just blew this right off. So me and my friend Justin had to go to Walmart and get a hose clamp that came with some like Prestone coolant flush kit. We was bought it just for the hose clamp. There's actually a video on that. If you scroll back on my channel to August, I believe. Yeah, about mid-August, there's one. So it's like from the archives, first time out, streetcar takeover Bristol. That video is the very first time this thing ever came out. And you can see some of this goofing around and how this ended up like that. We fixed it on the side of the road. And that's how this factory clamp ended up staying on there, just kind of for fun. But one of those bolts ended up staying in here because this boss here makes it hard to get it out. I had to drill and tap the manifold for an extra port down there for that part. And I made that throttle return bracket, drilled and tapped that, and thread sealed those so they are nice and leak free. And I turned the Holley rails inside out, so all transparency. I talked to Holley first about putting a system on this back in 2018, or no, 2017. And they were into it. The guy never picked up the phone. He gave me his card, was like, yeah, let's do something. Never picked up the phone. I must have called him once a week for 2 months. Nothing, couldn't get a call back, couldn't get an email, nothing. You know who did call me back? MS3. Super cool guys, so that's why this is on there. And when I got the Holley rails, I flipped them inside out because, you know, I don't want it to say Holley on there. I didn't at the time. So that's why that's like that. I was irritated and spiteful, but you know, I got nothing against Holley. I do have something against people who say, oh yeah, give me a call, here's my card, and then never call you back. Don't give me your card if you're not gonna call me back, just saying. This lighting is terrible. I think next step is to get the downpipes and the headers off, and then we can start getting to the valve covers and rockers and those things. Since October 2018. Yeah, watch me drop it and ruin it. Okay. Look at that. That's my whole hot side right there. Would you just look at it? It's the first set of headers I ever made. Right there. This primary was the first tube I ever cut. No joke. That's honest to God truth. A little dirty from lots of street miles on this thing. Now this was the very first turbo kit I ever built, and aside from the downpipes that were made out of material I knew was too thin to begin with, but didn't have enough time to get the thicker stuff to redo it before drag week, crossing that off, I've had one issue with it, and that is right here on this piece. It's cracked. It's cracked right now, and it cracked right there a year ago. I fixed it a year ago, just kind of re-welded over it. I didn't put any gusset in there, I just welded over it, and it lasted me a whole another year, which is great. That side has not had a problem because on that one I just welded it, but this side, the gap, the fit up was a little bit different. There might have been a gap or a step or something, so I welded it, waited for it to cool, and then I went back over it and kind of weaved it through just as a to smooth it out. But what I actually did is made it stronger because it hasn't done it on this side. You can see it here, how I zigzagged the whole way up through here. That's why it's staying together. I think I did the same thing on the bottom side too. Yeah, I did. That's it. The collectors came pre-done, but everything else, I made all this and that. If I had to do these again, the difference would be there would be no straight pieces. See, I didn't quite understand that concept back then, is that if I were to do this again, this straight piece, these two welds right here, would not, one of them would not be there. It would either be, this would be a one piece, or this piece right here would be one piece. Same with this. This would be one piece, or this would be one piece. But I remember I had a couple issues. This was the entire length of the bend. It wasn't long enough to make this all one thing, and I may have had to cheat this a little bit to make it work. I don't know. It's just something that only if you're a fabricator, and a good one at that, where it'll bother you. I don't know about bother you, but it's on your mind when you're making stuff to use the least amount of pieces as possible, because it looks the cleanest that way. If you can use the least amount of pieces, it shows your skill, your problem solving skill to get it done. Because that's why I don't like pie cuts, because you can take pie cuts, go and just build it up however you want. There's infinite adjustability, and in an application where it does not need to be there, when you do not have a really tight radius where you have to use pie cuts, I think people who use pie cuts are just unable to do what I was just talking about, is to fit tube in a clean fashion. So they just take the easy way out and build it out of pie cuts. There, I said it. Say what you want in the comments. That's how I think about it. If you're a fabricator, I feel like you'll probably agree with me. Unless you're one of those lazy fabricators, then maybe you won't. But I'm a little bit fired up right now about this. I'm speaking honestly. I don't care. There's no facade here. It's just me. That's how I feel. This valve cover off here so you can see these Awesome rockers. Oh, dang. That is why this motor can spin $8 grand and not care. Let it be known that the valve covers in the turbos used to be way cooler looking. See how that's kind of got like this metallicness to it? And even that has started to go away back here. It's like hazing the clear from too much heat. This is just straight up orange. There's nothing, I think the place of powder coated these messed them up because they've never been metallic. What the turbos used to be. And now it's totally just bland old pumpkin orange. And I hate it. It sucks, man. This engine bay looks so freaking cool when it was all fresh, but powder just can't hang. Part of the revamp of this thing is I'd really like to get all that stuff re-sandblasted and just paint it. Paint it like, probably like Chevy Inferno orange. I really like that color. It kind of reminds me of like GM engine block orange, but with some more pizzazz, you know? I'm kind of it's a weird explanation, but that's how I feel about it. That's what I'd like that to be, not this bland old traffic cone pumpkin orange. Now we're about to get into parts more that I've never actually seen before. So I got the steam crossover system off. I actually made this out of Red Horse components with Earl's ends instead of buying one. But yeah, a little bracket I had for the pressure regulator bolted right there. Just shared one of the valley cover bolts. You can see it's just a piece of regular old bar stock, and I bent it up and it works great. Pretty simple. It's like a fuel pressure Jesus, like, oh, looks like a person. I'm an idiot. Before I get to put it back in too. Normally I'd label these bags, but I know this vehicle well enough. I don't want to put them all in the same community box. That's just a pain. I know what they're for, but it would just take too long to dig them out. I'll put them in bags. I don't have to label the bags because I know what they're for. I don't need to make them for general specific bolts to specific things. It's kind of like a general area or process organization wise. Like the valley bolts and the steam crossover stuff is in here because that was kind of like valley area stuff. This is how I do it. If this was something I had never touched before, had no idea what I was doing, then every type of bolt for every specific thing would go into its own bag and I would label the bag. You ready? Oh my God, look. Nothing. Not very eventful. Into the orange pile. I'm gonna start with the ones on the underside of the head first because those are a pain. I've never actually done them before, but I can tell they're gonna be a pain because they're like under here, like under there. I don't know how to go about those. I don't know what the best way to do that is. I might have to fire off the old gazoogle. That's Google. That's an interesting point that I need to make. Use search engines before you ask somebody a basic question. Like I could ask any number of people, oh, what's the best way to get these off? But I'm gonna Google it first because I have respect for their time. If I can't find it on Google, then I will ask somebody. But I feel like a lot of people, I had to learn this lesson myself, is that you don't always have to bother people with questions that you can figure out yourself. If you have a phone, you have all the resources to figure out anything at the palm of your hand. You can at least try before you ask somebody something that you could do yourself. Probably took me half an hour to get those 4 bolts out, or 4 nuts off the stud. You can't get a ratchet wrench in there. I can get in with a regular wrench, break it loose, and then it's like too slippery, too tight to turn with my fingers, so I take the open end and just poke the edge of the 12 point until it spins around, and then it falls, and I gotta scoop it out through the oil. But even then, it's just like a tick, 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 until 4 times all the way through. Then you gotta get the nut out and the washer. It's not fun. I did the hardest ones first. Now we're just doing the surface ones. So I'm gonna buzz those off. We're gonna lift this thing up and see what's going on. Think I could do this one-handed? Is this a good idea? No. Drip tray. Drip tray. Drip tray. Loud. We got ourselves a problem. Well, I see two things. One, my timeline for Florida may not be the same as it was. If it is the same as it was, then I may not have the Escalade with me to do it. Because this is not good. You ready? Do you see the problem? Alright, well first, these are all black. This one's not. Most importantly, well, that's not supposed to be like that. Not good at all. You torched it, Dale. You picked it up and you torched it. This is my first engine problem. I'm so proud of myself. I'm learning. Now to figure out why this happened. It's one thing. I'm wondering if the lack of carbon is just from that engine pulling in coolant and burning it out and kind of cleaning the carbon off after the fact of the issue, or if the lack of carbon is related to lack of fuel and it got lean, got hot, and blew out that way. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, that happened for some specific reason to be determined. Captain Obvious here. Let's take a look at the block. Does anybody want that head gasket? Could do a giveaway or something stupid, like, I don't know. I'll come up with a question and you're gonna go on the website, buy a shirt, and leave your answer in the customer notes box. And if you get it right, then I'll send you the torched head gasket to hang on your wall or pet your dog with. I don't know what you would do with it, but it'll be yours. I don't know what to do about the head gasket, but really you should go buy a shirt from my website. I've never even said anything about it before, really. Just kind of mentioned it in comment form, but I don't think I've ever actually talked about it. I do have a website, stapletonautowworks.com. You can buy these Escalade shirts here. They're pretty nice. You know, high quality materials and whatnot. It's on there. And it's not blown up on the shirt graphic, and the shirt graphic is a functioning vehicle, so there's that too. This is the OG Escalade shirt. That's the very first one. I got the new style on the way, so this one may never come back again. That's gonna be like the legacy shirt. If you got one of those, then, well, you know the deal, because you do. It may be the last load of these I ever do. So if you want one, hop on over there, get one, put something funny in the customer notes box, and maybe I'll give you a sticker or write "suck it" on your envelope or something. I don't know. I like to have fun with it. So you should do that. That'll help put diesel in my tank. If I could sell more shirts, I could destroy more things and learn you some stuff when I gotta fix it. So see you tomorrow.